Hello and welcome to What to Watch with Your Popcorn. I'm Dave.
And I'm Rob.
And today we're gonna be doing a review for Percy Jackson and the Olympians, the Lightning Thief.
Yes, and in this film, Percy Jackson is a regular schoolboy who is actually the son of the Greek god Poseidon. And one day, Zeus's lightning rod mysteriously disappears, and all the Greek mythological characters think he took it. So he is taken to a camp where the children of gods and goddesses are, and for protection. But of course, like a lot of heroes, he wants to go out and find out who took the rod and try to get it back before bad things happen. So that's pretty much the plot of the movie. So, Dave, what were your thoughts on what did you think of the movie?
I expected it to be just your typical superhero teen movie, and it turned out to be more than that. It turned out to be more like Harry Potter or like Narnia type stuff to me.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't see Percy Jackson as a superhero like let's say Spider-Man or the Hulk, and I do agree with you about it being like Harry Potter. I think a lot of people might compare it very easily to Harry Potter. I mean, think about it. The lead character, there's a little bit more to him, and his companions, there's one boy, one girl. Grover is the guy, he's half goat and half human.
Yeah.
And the girl's the daughter of Athena, I think. And of course, the demigod camp, you might be able to compare it very easily to Hogwarts, because at Hogwarts, the kids are being trained to be wizards.
Yeah.
And the demigods, they're being trained how to fight and all that.
Yeah. Well, I sort of disagree, because I'd say the sets in Harry Potter are a little more like fantastical, and they're a little more played up and everything, and a little more campy looking.
Well, no, I'm just saying that the elements are very similar. I mean, my reaction from Percy Jackson was I thought it was just a standard fantasy film. I didn't find this film unique. I mean, the acting for me just wasn't very interesting, except for Pierce Brosnan as one of his teachers at the camp, and the stepfather, Percy Jackson's stepfather, was pretty good, and so was the cameo by Uma Thurman as Medusa.
Yeah. As far as Uma Thurman, I think she was kind of they didn't use her in the film as much as they could have. She should have been in there longer. She was in there just too short, and I feel they kind of they let go with how much she could have done and everything. I feel she could have done more for the film.
Yeah, and you said you were surprised about the actor who plays the stepfather?
Yeah, Joe Pantoliano, because he usually doesn't appear in big Hollywood movies, because his more recent work was like on The Sopranos. He had a small part on The Sopranos, and he was in a couple other TV dramas.
Well, I mean, he's an actor. Work is work. I mean, right now we're in a recession, and, if he's offered this and if he wants to do it, so be it. It's something different from, I mean, same thing with Catherine Keener. Catherine Keener, who plays Percy Jackson's mom, usually does more like independent films like Hamlet 2 and Cyrus, so maybe once in a while they'd like to do something different. But I did find some of the film to be funny and enjoyable, like Grover, even though sometimes he could be stereotypical. But other problems I saw with this movie was, I just think, getting back to the acting, there is a scene where Percy Jackson is taking part in a fight at the camp, and he's very injured at one point, and all of a sudden he hears Poseidon's voice in his head.
Yeah.
And if that happened to me, I'd be like, whoa, what the hell is going on? I'm hearing voices in my head. But no, he hears Poseidon's voice, and he just goes on like it's a normal thing, and I felt like that wasn't something that I would see happening if it happened. And he basically knew that Poseidon was his father and everything. Well, yeah, but I don't think they ever met before that, and I don't think he would have known his father's voice at this point in the film if he jumped him in an alley.
Yeah.
And the special effects I thought were just modest, and the fight scenes. Speaking of fight scenes, I just didn't think the fight scenes were that exciting, and they didn't have me on the edge of my seat.
Yeah. But I guess they didn't want to make them too violent because it is a kids movie. So.
Well, I don't know. I mean, I think there's some elements in Harry Potter and even in Cirque du Freak, another movie we reviewed, where there's a little bit of violence in it. But
yeah.
I think, for me, I think the film got better once Jackson figured out who he was, and because I thought the beginning was a little bit rushed, and I think when he got to that point in the film, that's when the film kind of started to take off a little bit.
Yeah, the beginning was rushed because you got to know about him, but you didn't get to know much about his mother or some of the other characters.
Yeah, well, I mean, there's enough details about the mom to move the story along, but I think the reason why I didn't think this film felt magical enough compared to the other fantasy films that have been coming out in the last few years is, here, think of it like this. With fantasy films, like, one is that they could take place in a non-existent place and time, like in Lord of the Rings, or in another case, they don't put the pressure on the time period, like in Harry Potter. Where if you watch Harry Potter, that film, I think, can take place in any place and time, and even with Lion Witch and the Wardrobe, even though there's some scenes that took place in World War II, the fantasy land, Narnia, is a fantastical non-existent time and place. But with this film, there's mention of a global recession, which we're in right now.
Yeah.
There's Lady Gaga music playing in the background in one scene. And I think stuff like this will date this film more than it will date the other. I mean, this movie just, to me, was not fantastic or exciting or unique compared to some of the other contemporary fantasy films.
But they used a lot. They used a lot more real life situations than in the other films. Like when they go to Vegas and all that. I mean, that can really happen and all that.
And Percy Jackson.
In Percy Jackson.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Yeah. I mean, I can see that, but to me, I think this movie is not going to hold up as well as those other films, like I said, because there isn't a pressure on a specific time and place like with this film, or they don't take place in this world or in this universe, and I think that's why those films are much more unique. I mean, I thought this movie was okay. I think there's enough there for me to recommend for a rental, but to me this was just an okay standard fantasy film. I've seen better.
Yeah, I agree. I've seen a lot better.
So, would you recommend this movie as a rental or no?
Probably not.
No.
Maybe partially. If you've read the books, maybe I'd say. But if you haven't really read the books, I wouldn't say go ahead and see it.
Well, yeah, 'cause I mean, I've never read the books, and now the positive thing I will say about this film is now I want to see how different the book is from this film, because I've heard that they've changed a lot with this movie, and I want to see. It's like after we reviewed Cirque du Freak, I started reading the books, and there's a lot in the movie that was invented by the screenwriter that aren't in the books, and they mix things around here and there. So now I want to check it out. I mean, it's a decent movie, but it's just, I've seen better. So in my opinion, so. Okay, so that's it for our video. So thank you very much for watching.
Feel free to leave any comments for us if you have any.
Yep, that would be greatly appreciated. So, thank you very much, and take care now.
That works.